My name is Franz-Albrecht Oettingen-Spielberg, and I've dedicated my life to understanding and hunting Europe's most magnificent game species. Join me as I share my passion and field experience in the management and pursuit of my favorite five, where conservation, ethical hunting and sustainable management guide every decision we make. Generally, what red deer need is they need peace and quiet. The worst thing you can do is have too much hunting pressure on them. They are probably the most sensitive species for that, I would say. They learn incredibly quickly and they adjust very quickly. And if you treat them badly or if you treat them in the wrong way, they can be a big destruction in the forestry and agricultural side if you treat them badly. In order for their natural feeding hours to keep them, they need food close to where they sleep. So ideally making some green grass meadows in the forest. They don't have to be huge, but just to provide them with some greenery that they can feed even during the day. Let's say lunchtime, it's sunny. They like to be out on open plains. Obviously that's not possible inside the forest, but you can create small meadows where they can feed, and everything that they eat there, they won't eat in the forest. So I would say peace and quiet and being able to entertain their feeding routines are the two most important things that the red deer need for them, to have an ideal biotope. Okay, it's our last evening for this particular hunt. I'm gonna choose this one. It's the lucky one. And we're going to go for stags. Now, we got very close last night. We're going to a similar place, and I don't think we'll find them again like we did yesterday, just on our way. But the chances are that they'll come out and feed hopefully a little earlier than they did in the last few days. And maybe in the meadow in front of us or in the meadow on the left of us, there's some apple trees where they like to eat right now. And if we're lucky, we might see one of the two that we're looking for. Now, as I've said, they're the ghosts of the forest at this time of the year, and then they become the king of the forest in the raw. But right now, they're very difficult to pattern, and they don't move a lot because they're getting prepared for the raw. But there is a chance, and hopefully we'll see them. If you have red deer in the area, of course, red deer will react more aggressively when an animal is taken out of a herd. But at the same time, if you do a lot of hunting of other species around the area where the red deer live, that also creates stress for the red deer, because every shot they hear, they become nervous and they maybe start moving away, and maybe they stop doing their natural cycles of feed and sleep. And therefore, red deer is definitely one of the most intense species to manage. They're big, they need a lot of food per animal per day. So if you start hunting all the other species around them constantly, that will create a stress that will show by the red deer either eating more trees or moving away into areas where you don't want them to be, etc. So I would say interval hunting, going in at specific times of the year, trying to take as many game out of the area as you need in terms of the quota. So I'm talking about driven shoots. And then sometimes if you haven't shot everything in the driven shoot that you need to shoot to balance the population, you need to maybe do some afterwards or before, but you have to make sure you don't do it in the time when they've completely calmed down their digestive system in the winter, or too early in the summer when the hinds are giving birth. etc. So yeah, it's a big task to run a healthy herd of red deer. And then of course you also have all the neighbors that you have to make sure are aligned with what you're doing, and you have to be aligned with what they're doing. And if they have a completely different idea, then of course it makes it even more complicated. This is a stag. He's 12 to 13 years old. We know him as der Brandige. Der Brandige, it's a difficult German word to translate, but it's because the tips of his crowns on his right side have always been sort of rounded off and brandig. That's why he had this name since the beginning. We've known him for 8-9 years. We have more sets of cast antlers from him, but the table only fits the last 3 years. This year he's 12 to 13. His crowns have gone even more closed, so he's got a little longer, and the tips of his crowns are now thin and not rounded anymore. So I feel like he's really at his maximum potential. He's 12 to 13. It's a great time to take him. So we're going to try and go after him now. And it's a difficult time. The stags are just beginning to separate from their bigger groups. They're getting ready for the roar or for the rut. He always looks like an old stag. I mean, you can see by his body, he looks like an old animal. But as I've said so many times, I really feel like if you try and judge a stag by the way he looks, you're guessing. You're guessing about the age of that stag. It's like looking at a human being and trying to guess the age of a human being. Some human beings genetically look younger than they are, and others look older than they are. And it's the same with stags, especially when they have different types of genetics, different types of body build. So I feel that the only way to do really good management and sustainable management and have old stag, which you need for the population to be healthy, because they control the rut, they control that the younger stags don't take part in the rut. Older stags, that's scientifically proven, have more male offspring, and those male offspring spread out into other population, and then there's this genetic exchange that's very important. And nowadays in Germany, that's actually a big discussion because of all the dual carriageways and all the other issues that red deer face nowadays. There's not enough the genetic pool isn't big enough in many of the populations, and there's a deterioration that you can see with all sorts of things happening to them. For example, they have the bottom jaws protrude outwards. They have strange, almost abnormalities that evolve in their bodies. So it's very important to have these old stags, and I feel to be able to judge a really old stag, you need to know him. So it's very important to, one aspect of good management is being able to find these cast antlers, and we invest a lot of time in trying to find them. And we don't find all of them, of course, but the ones we do find, it gives you a lot of information about the stag, about the age of the stag, about the size of the stag, and how he's doing from year to year. Maybe he's been sick, maybe he's incredibly healthy in 1 year, maybe he's had a big fight in a roar, so therefore the year after he's in bad shape. So it's next to taking pictures, next to trying to find the stag at different times of the year, the cast antlers are a really important part of management, and that's why we invest a lot of time in trying to find them.
can try and pinch over the valley to get a view from where we are now. We can't see them. There's 3 stags. The first one is the one that we're looking for. His crowns come together. We've known him for 8 or 9 years. Unsere ist links davon in der Großstadt. Okay, wir müssen jetzt dumm. Hier noch auf den nächsten Hügel gucken. Aber wir müssen aufpassen, dass der uns nicht sieht. Anyone who's hunted the ghosts of the forest, which is the stags before the rut in August, for me they are ghosts, knows what this must feel like when you shoot a stag that you've known for 8-9 years. This is only the 2nd time in all of that time that I've seen him live. We saw them from the high seat coming out, but the ground is so hilly that they were completely covered for us. So we had to make a stalk all the way here. But with the fallow bugs, this is free range. We're not in a fence. With the fallow bugs seeing us, and then the first few running off, and then us trying to get ready, but still having a lot of plants in front of us. I mean, it was just... my nerves are done. Then they all ran off, and I managed to make him stop by pretending to be a female, which is... And thank God he stopped again before going into the forest. He's a big stag, and he's an old stag. once yesterday by chance, and this is the second time. I've not seen a single red deer all week. They are literally the ghosts of the forest and so difficult to pattern. Fuck it. It's difficult to describe what this means to me. Absolutely incredible. Like I said, we've known him for many years, and he's got such character. He's around 12 years old, and he's actually at his strongest. The last few years he was big, but this year he grew bigger, and that's why we decided that this year is the year to take him. Absolutely incredible. And I can't believe that we managed, after they ran off and got wind, or no, they didn't get wind, but they saw something, that we managed to stop him just before he disappears. Oh, incredible. Incredible. Oh. What a stag. This is a habit-shiring single-shot rifle. It's their round body edition, so it's one of the newest models that they make. I have two barrels. One is a 6.5 Creedmoor, where I shoot the 143 grain ELDX, and then I have an exchangeable barrel that I use mainly for the stag roar, and that's a 338 Lapua, which you can see here, where I also shoot the ELDX, and I've been extremely happy with that during the roar, because as you know, there is a lot of adrenaline in these stags during the roar, and it takes a punch to take them down, and I'd rather go bigger than smaller when it comes to that time of the year. I've tried everything from as low as 308, 300, Win Mag, 9.3 by 62, 8.5 by 75R. I've tried all different types, and now I've landed at the 338 Lapua, and it just gives me the most, it gives me the most possibilities, whether it's at longer distances, shorter distances, the position the stag is in. If I make a little mistake in terms of the shot placement, it just
gives me enough power to be safe, on the safe side. Of course, you can also shoot stags with a 308. You can probably also shoot them with a 6.5 Creedmoor. I mean, you can go as low as you want. If you hit them perfectly, it's absolutely no problem. But I just want to make sure that if something should happen, maybe the stag moves in the shot or whatever it is, the more reserve I have, the better. And I've been happy with the 338 Lapua in that respect. The 6.5 Creedmoor is amazing for everything, roe deer, fallow deer, even stags now in August. I mean, you can do everything with it, but once it comes into those big animals during the roar, I'd rather go bigger. So here we are. It's the morning after. It's been a relatively sleepless night to try and digest all the experiences. I mean, being able to hunt a stag like this, and especially when you've known him for so many years and you've had experiences with him for so many years, and he's really a stag that lived with us all year round, which is seldom. Often the stags move to different areas for the rut, or different areas where they cast their antlers, or different areas where they are in the summer. This one was really with us all year round. And yeah, it's a really special moment. Of course, also because stags, we shoot them from 10 years on, so you know them for a longer time than, for example, roebucks or other species. And they are the king of the forest, even though, as I said, at this time of the year, when they're preparing for the rut, they become the ghosts of the forest. And I had an amazing experience with him last year in the rut, or in the roar, when I was using the stag roar myself. He came in to maybe 30 or 40 meters. But I decided not to shoot him because I felt that, if you see, this is the cast antler from last year, I felt that there was still more in him and that he was not the right age. And you can see he's really increased in length, and he's also thicker in the horns, and he's got bigger coronets. So what does that mean? It means that he's culminating, I would say, at his highest point. You can see that because the tips are getting very pointy and not rounded off. So I feel like he's really put all his strength in and grew the longest, thickest horns that he could possibly grow. And I feel now that he's at the right age to take. Now, if we look at all the cast antlers we found, it's always difficult to say in which year you found the first one that you can then pair with the others. On this side, you can see that all of these points up here all are the same. So it's very easy to say that this is the same stag. Often their fingerprints really are the coronets, where certain parts of the coronets don't change and they're always the same. The crowns can change every year. Usually the angle between the first point, the brow tine, and his middle tine, how it comes off the beam, that stays the same. This tine between the brow tine and the middle tine can change where it comes out, or he can miss it 1 year or grow 2 on one side in 1 year. So the crowns and this end in the middle, they change from year to year, or can change from year to year. But the brow and middle tines are usually the same, and the form of the stag, so whether he has a very closed off form like this one, or very wide, that is different. Another way to distinguish them is by, for example, old wounds that they have in the ears. This one has a long cut in his right ear, but also by facial expressions. And that might sound strange, but every farmer, for example, that has a herd of cows or a herd of sheep will also know each animal by the facial expressions. It's a little bit the same with the stags. Once you get to know them over years, they always look the same. Even when they've cast their antlers, you can recognize which stag it is. This one had a very short and bullish head, and he was easily recognizable to us. So yeah, it's a very, very emotional moment to take a stag like this. I feel incredibly lucky and blessed to be able to do it. This is a great result of the management that we've been doing for over 20 years now. We changed a lot of things that we were doing 20 years ago, and we can feel that we're harvesting the results now from year to year. And yeah, this is one of them. Now it's very interesting to try and figure out at what age a particular stag, or in general stags, grow their biggest trophies. And that very much depends on the genetics. Now if you look at the Eastern genetics, if you go towards Hungary, those type of genetics, I would say we're talking in general probably around 12 years of age. Each stag again is different. But if you look at English genetics like Woburn or other genetics that have been introduced into New Zealand, some of those stags will culminate much earlier, maybe at 8 years. For me, of course, that doesn't make so much of a difference because I am managing an open area, and therefore where we actually have a high genetic pool. I would say here what we have seen is that individuals, depending on how much they are rutting, usually culminate between 10 and 12. So here he is in all his beauty. Yeah, I love the form of how he is shaped and how close he comes together up here in the top. He wasn't as close in the last few years, and I think now at the age of 12, 13, he really has become an incredible character and wonderful stag. Now what we do with all the teeth, the bottom jaws, is we send them to an institute that cuts some of the teeth in half, and then under a microscope they count the year rings. You can count the year rings on these teeth a little bit like you would count the year ring on a tree. And it's not easy to do. I've tried it myself. It's very difficult to see those year rings, but there are some professionals who can, and it's a scientifically proven method. And depending on how good you see them on each individual, there's a over 90% possibility to tell the exact age, or at least within plus minus 1 year. What I can see from the bottom jaw, he's 12 to 13, but I look forward to see what the professionals say. But I have to say again that none of this would be possible without our incredibly dedicated and professional team. And I am extremely thankful to have such a team, and you know who you are, so thank you to all of you. And I really look forward to continuing our management of our different species, and also continuing the management, of course, of the forestry and the agriculture, and to bring it all together and to be sustainable, but also to do good conservation and good management. That's really the key to everything we do.